1 2.
Hey yo, AC.
1 2 1 2. Mic check. Hey, can y'all hear me out there? Hey. Against all odds. 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 Against
important stuff.
All right, everybody, we made it in. It is Rockhound Detroit Lions live from Radio Row in Green Bay. Wow. What a nightmare, man. There's so much Bluetooth happening in here. We can't get keyboards to work. Everything else seemed to go swimmingly well, but not Bluetooth tonight. So let's just get right into it. We're going to have to cut about half the show out, and a lot of other things are going to get cut out later, as you'll find out. But Eric, let's just walk everybody through what we noticed yesterday through our tour. We got to see everything behind the scenes, the stage, backstage, the green room, the red carpet. Again, out on Lambeau Field, walking through Lambeau's tunnel. I mean, you name it. But walk everybody through kind of what we saw, and let's give it a good comparison to Detroit.
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you right now, this place has nothing on Detroit in my eyes. But
even if he wasn't a Packer hater.
Even if I wasn't a Packer hater, just a draftee attendee so far. I haven't been through the crowd. I haven't been out there. I don't know how everything's going because the draft hasn't started yet. But yesterday morning, Will and we went on an amazing adventure behind the scenes like nothing I've ever been to. So our morning started out with a Play 60 field, and on our way walking to the field, who did we walk by? We came around a corner, and boom, there's Roger Goodell.
That was the first guy we saw on our way in at 8 o'clock in the morning.
The absolute first person we saw, and I'm like, hi, good morning, Roger. And he walked right past us. Good morning, fellas. And it was pretty awesome just to see Roger Goodell, right? And then we went to the Play 60 field, and all 15 of the upcoming draftees were at the field, and we were able to walk up to them, interview them, talk to them, and I got amazing pictures, got to talk to basically every one of them that I wanted to. Got to ask, a couple questions here and there, but you got to remember there's 15, 20 people at each guy asking them questions. It was a lot of fun. And then after that, they took us into Lambeau Field for, about 90 minutes or so, because there was a thunderstorm yesterday that put the kibosh on a lot of stuff. And they made us go in kind of the opposite order of the way the draftees are going. So we actually went to the draft theater next, and we got to walk up onto the stage and then down the tunnel that the draftees are coming out of. And they have like a little selfie station there for all the draftees with a mirror, and they get to make sure, they look good and everything. And,
Yeah, so just had a little pop-up here. I don't have a keyboard, so what's going to end up happening is, like right now, YouTube is telling me that I need to verify myself. I'm not going to be able to verify. Thank goodness I have the other show scheduled. I'm just not going to be able to get the chat up on this, so I'm just going to close this, and then I'm not going to worry about it. I'll just be able to get the chat up in this one. So, yeah, it was good. It was a good tour yesterday. Mm-hmm. Great experience, especially for, a rookie in media. And I got to say that, being an independent in media is tough.
Yes.
It is very difficult to get here and do these things. And you get to learn a lot along the way. My first question to Ashton Genty, again, I'm all excited, right? Didn't even press record. I caught half of it. But the first question I asked him was his stance. And I thought that was such a great question to ask him. As I said, obviously, Lions fan, watched Jahmyr Gibbs' stance, and he's got this relaxed stance. You have the same style of stance. Can you explain to us why you do that? And the long and the short of the answer was being comfortable and just kind of being relaxed and ready to go is the reason why he utilizes that stance. Thought it was a great answer. I think that, the guy's absolutely going to be special in this league. I think that he's going to be very, very fun to watch. I just hope he doesn't go to the Chicago Bears. So a little bit of rumors last night. My one plug has been giving me some information over the last few years. We've only missed on one, and today we had a little bit of breaking news, breaking rumors. And remember, rumors are rumors, right? The only way that they're going to work is if whatever's left on the team's board is there when the opportunity happens. So they may not move. Like the Lions may not move up to number 9 and make a trade if the person that they're seeking or the 2 players that they're seeking are not there. But yesterday's rumor was that the Chicago Bears are definitely ready to move up and that they were going to move up right around number 6. So if Genty slips past 5, the Bears are going to move up and take Genty. And then as you heard last night, so I put that information out early yesterday. And then last night, you heard it on ESPN and some of the other wires talking about the same exact thing. So that tells you that the individual that I speak with, they got great information, right? If you follow the timeline, they have great information. This next bit of information that I put out a couple of hours ago on our way, I was going to talk about it when we jumped on here at 5. That didn't happen. Was the 2 options, the 2 teams that I was given for the Detroit Lions. Initial trades tomorrow. So a lot of us have been in the boat that the Lions are going to trade back. Do me a favor. Can you get the chat and see if anyone, oh, perfect. Let us know how the audio is and video. There's going to be a ton of background. We really can't do a whole lot about it. So the 2 names, the 2 teams was one number 9 with the Carolina Panthers. And it makes sense when you think about it, right? Reuniting Jamo with Bryce Young. If we know anything about Brad Holmes, it is that he is more inclined to put somebody in a good situation. Matter of fact, wasn't it that the trade, what was the trade a couple years ago? Who did we trade a couple years ago? We put him in a good situation. Was it DeAndre Swift? We sent him to Philly, right?
Yes, Philly.
Yeah. So we sent him to Philly. So if you know that's where DeAndre wanted to go. Brad's all about putting these players in a good situation. So it makes perfect sense when you think about it. Carolina at 9. There's only 12, 13, first round grades in this draft. And if Brad wants to get one of his 2 or 3 guys, that's where you're going to have to be, potentially. And then the other one, and I don't know the trade compensation. It was a Jamo going to Carolina. Lions getting number 8. And I think the Lions had to give up another pick, but we just don't know what that compensation would be. I have an idea. I think it would probably be a 3rd round pick to go with it, maybe next year. That would be my idea. I think that it could take a 1st, a 2nd, and a 3rd to move from 28 to 9. But if you throw Jamo in there and a 2nd and a 3rd, or 2 thirds, I think you can get the deal done. And then it was 15 with the Falcons. So I think this one is more so that the Falcons are trying to trade back, knowing at 15 that it's going to be really light for the first round grades to be available. And they don't have a lot of picks, and they need a lot of help. So I think they have 4 picks in this draft, if I'm not mistaken, or they only have like 2 or 3 in the first 4 rounds. And so that one made a lot of sense, too. And again, it's right at that midpoint of the first round where the Detroit Lions will be able to do some damage if what we're expecting to happen is someone's going to screw this draft up early. So thoughts on that?
Poo-poo. I don't see the Jamo thing.
No, you don't see the Jamo thing, or you don't want Jamo to go.
Both.
There's a difference,
Both.
right? Yeah.
I'm super fan. I don't want Jamo going anywhere.
You're super something.
Yeah, I want to see what happens. I want to see what
Superstar.
I know.
You're superstar. What's
I
that
know.
guy? Who's that guy?
I don't know. Superman
No, superstar. The guy who says superstar.
got me.
That goofy kid. What was that? The big
guy.
wild hair in that movie? See, I forget.
Super bad?
No, it wasn't super bad.
Oh.
Someone in the chat will pick it up. Someone in the chat will pick it up.
I'm too old. All stuff I don't watch.
So let me try to get some of my notes up so we can at least talk about a few things. Just things don't want to work today, which as expected, it is what it is. All right, so pre-draft show, we wanted to talk about a lot today. Obviously, the trade options I just discussed, Lions moving up to 9 or possibly 15. Obviously, throw it in the chat. Would you?
Ooh, what about 15 with the Atlanta Falcons?
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So put it in the chat. Which one would you prefer? 9 or 15? And again, let's think about this constructively. They just gave. By the way, congratulations, Kirby Joseph. Just gave him a huge bag, but like I reminded everybody over the last couple of months, to keep Kirby was going to take $20+ million, and $21.5 million APY is a huge amount of change. And so now we're not going to get rid of Branch. We're probably going to be the only team in the NFL that is paying 2 safeties top tier money by the end of next season. So what does that do for Jamo? And I think that's the largest conversation here to have. Realistically, you can't keep him and everybody else if you're planning on keeping Branch. And I think that's why that conversation got started yesterday.
It is, but you can exercise that 5th-year option. You can afford the 5th-year option.
You can, but remember that's like 16 million next year.
It was 15, I thought.
15.7, I think.
It's guaranteed. You don't have to worry about receiver for the next 2 seasons. You draft somebody after that.
I don't know that you waste.
And if he walks after that, he walks. But listen, you could also trade him next year. After this next year, I want to see what the real value of Jamo is.
I think that's a fair statement, right? It's a fair point. I think that you could trade him next year. You could definitely franchise him, trade him. Happens all, it doesn't happen all the time, but it used to happen all the time. I just don't know if many teams that are going to be willing to do that right away unless he has another banger year. What if Jamo gets injured this year? What if that happens? Then the whole idea of being able to trade him for something is out the window. It's done.
Yes. But what if he gets 2,000 yards and has the best season wide receivers ever had? You don't know.
That's not happening, but anyway.
So he went from having just under 300 yards his second season, in his third season to having 1,000 yards, right? Something like that. He didn't have all that much. And then all of a sudden, bam, he's got 1,000 yards. Once he's healthy, once he's here and he's not suspended, and he missed 2 games. So we had Amon-Ra, who had 1,400 yards, correct? Or 1,500?
Last season?
Yeah,
I think it was right around 1,200. But Jamo has about 1,394 yards, I think, through its first 3 seasons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, so when you have Jamo, who missed 2 games to suspension for whatever it was, Adderall, or we don't know what he took. We're never going to know. But a banned substance, he got 2 games, and you give him those 2 games back, man, he might have had 1,200 himself.
Yeah, look, I'm not denying his. I'm not denying his ability. I mean, I think that we've all seen the ability of Jamo, and you look, you can't deny that. I think this is not about his ability, Eric. It's about dollars and cents, and what makes sense for the Detroit Lions is sustaining success, and I think that's why this is a very difficult conversation.
It is.
Everybody knows that. There's 2 players that I've kind of been on for the last few seasons. It's Aiden and Jamo. It's Aiden because I want to see him be that second overall pick and be who he should be, and he will be. And it's Jamo because, again, we moved around, utilized some draft capital to go up and get the guy, and it was nothing but problem, a little bit of success. And I just want to see him fly straight and just be a leader. I think the difference is I don't think that Jamo's ever going to be a leader, right? I can't see him going to another team and being a leader of a group. And if you're going to pay a guy $25-30 million a year at some point, you need him to be a leader, like an Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I think that's the difference between Amon-Ra and Jamo. Amon-Ra can produce 1,500 yards, 10 TDs, 100-plus catches, but, you know what? I think my thing's on. Hold on.
We're getting echo.
Yeah, I got it. But the difference is Amon-Ra can do it quietly. And then he can also be a leader of men. So I think that's the biggest difference that I look for in the receiver group, and especially for the Lions moving forward, is making sure that if they're going to spend that kind of money, it's got to be a leader. Right?
Yeah.
It's got to be a leader.
Well, you have to remember one thing with Jamo also. We never would have got Jamo at 12 had Jamo not been hurt.
Yeah.
If he wasn't hurt, he would have been top 5. We wouldn't have had a shot at Jamo had he not been hurt.
Oh, I believe he would have been a top 10 for sure in that draft.
Yeah, so that he would have been the first wide receiver for sure. And he got hurt in the national championship game, right?
Yes.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so I want to see what the potential is. I think there is so much more than 1,001 yards and 7 touchdowns. I think that at the end of the season, especially in the Washington game, there was something going on between him and Ben Johnson. I think him and Ben Johnson might have been butting heads, or something was going on. And I hated Jamo's attitude at the end of that game. I didn't like the fact that he basically gave up by not running back and getting in position where he needed to be quick enough. I didn't like that at all.
No, I wholeheartedly agree. And, you know, it's funny, you know, being at that game, not a lot of people had seen that. And then when I pointed it out, I'm sorry. Yeah, when I pointed it out, you know, a lot of people went back and you could see that kind of stuff was going on.
I was screaming at him.
And
screaming.
You know, the question is why.
Yeah.
But anyway, look, enough about Jamo. I think we got some other topics we can talk about today. I'm trying to get some better lighting in here.
Hey, you're hitting stuff on the roadcaster.
What a cluster F. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just a cluster. I apologize.
Hey, it is what it is. We're doing our absolute best. I'm telling you, Will and I have been through hell today. We had 2 carts full of hundreds of pounds of equipment that we hauled through 250,000 people from a mile away.
About 50,000 people, yeah. Yeah, so explain to me why media parking is a mile and a half away from the Resch Center where we are right now.
Exactly.
And we have to go through security, through all the people, and they didn't let us in until 3 o'clock today, even though we were here all day yesterday.
Yep.
And we could have set up yesterday.
Or even just brought our stuff in.
All right, that's my only gripe about this whole thing. And then
Yeah.
trying to get information is like pulling teeth. So
even when someone's standing right in front of you, like yesterday when we were stuck in Lambeau during this thunderstorm for, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours, there was a person standing right in front of us from the NFL, and they could not give us information. So information here is very, very hard to come by. That's the only thing I can say.
But I have to say this, you know what, from being a first timer and not understanding everything, like where you need to be, you know, when you need to be there. Look, I'm winning, right? I got to interview my guy, Daniel Jeremiah.
Yeah.
Got to ask him some questions about Brad Holmes. Got to interview all the guys, you know, all the draft picks. Had a great mingling experience with Jahad Campbell and Maxwell Harrison. Shouting out Detroit. They both want to come to Detroit. They're both saying, hey, you know, maybe if Detroit comes up and gets us, they're expecting to get grabbed, earlier in the draft.
Yeah. We didn't expect that at all. We're standing there.
No.
And
he saw my hat and he's like, hey, Detroit.
Hey, Detroit.
So, and then, of course, running into Terry and Arnold yesterday.
Oh,
you
that
know,
was
so we're
awesome.
on our way out, and we happened to catch Terry and Arnold and his family. And big shout out to TA, man, if he does ever watch this, which he's probably not now because he's busy. But TA did say he's going to come on the podcast and gave me his digits to get a hold of him and get him on the pod. And I think that was just great, man. He super cool cat. Very cool, calm, collected, man, just having fun, talking about stuff. The off-camera interview was better. The interaction was better. So we were asking him about Jamo, asking him about what the Lions were thinking about doing for the day, you know, draft-wise. And he just said, man, look, Brad knows what he's doing. And you know, Brad's just a genius, right? And I said, well, yeah, he picked you, you know. And then we started talking about the whole handsy portion of his first 4 or 5 games, and he was like, look, yeah, you know, first 4 or 5 games I had like 8 penalties, but after that I didn't have anything. And I said, look, man, I'm expecting for you to have a real big breakout year in year 2. He's like, oh yeah. And he knows it, man. He knows how special he's going to be. And so I'm super excited now that this DB room is starting to become pretty lethal. And I just got to say, Eric, look, the main thing is the main thing for me. The Lions are shoring up the defensive line. The Lions are shoring up the back end of this defense. Those are the 2 things that will help this team win football games. It's the interior and the back end. And when those 2 things are operating at a high level, then your defensive ends can get to work. So I'm expecting more this year. What about you?
Oh, yeah. And just the way he talked and what he talked, he was telling me he hears the rumors. He hears what people are saying. And can't get into specifics, but he hears the noise, you know. So when he got those 8 penalties very early in the season, and then he went the whole rest of the season with just, I think, 3 more, it showed so much growth. And the first thing he told us was, hey, I played more man coverage than any other cornerback in the entire NFL last year. So that was a giant learning experience on the job in the NFL. He is going to have such a jump in year 2 because he's so far ahead of anyone else from this past draft class and any first round cornerback, because he has all this learning experience, all this, on the job training per se.
Well, he has all the trials and tribulations of last year. He went through the fire.
Yeah.
He had to go through it all. Some really bad calls at really bad times and some unexpected calls at other times that he had to, as a rookie, had to keep his head on his shoulders, and he had to fight through it. So, all right, let me get into a couple of things. Again, appreciate all you guys jumping in, and Trace and everybody else that's been in the chat, all the mods, Mike P, Brandy, Trace. You guys are great. Thanks for holding everything down. I'm not sure everyone that's in here, like I said, I'm kind of flying blind tonight without having a keyboard and not being able to do the things that I normally do. Is going to be tough. So we got Dwayne Fulmer in here, Scott Herring, Elizabeth, Jay Cruzen's in the house. Let's see, we got Brett in the house, Peter Van Larhoven. Do us all a favor if you guys haven't liked the stream. Do that for us. If you haven't subscribed, I'm going to ask you why not. We get to 10,000 tonight. We're going to give away 2 tickets to opening day. Lions may or may not be sitting next to me. We'll see. But just get us out there, man. Start sharing the stream to your Twitters, to your social medias. Tell everybody to get in here, get their chance for some pop-up live action tonight, possibly winning some things. And that's going to be the most difficult thing is trying to do the giveaways without a keyboard. So we're going to try to manufacture something to make it all happen. Either way, we got raffles. The raffles that are going on right now are at buymeacoffee.com/rocked on. And then if you hit the other forward again and hit extras, it'll bring you right into the shop. Again, that's buymeacoffee.com/rocked on, ROCKEDON. All right, so draft news and other news. Let's get into a couple of segments here.
Sure.
Let me get this mouse to work. Having to switch the mouse from one PC to the next is not easy.
Got our first trade of the day, if you would like me to start.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead with the first trade while I'm trying to get my mouse to work.
So the Browns and the Texans have made a trade today. Cleveland acquired a 2025 fifth-round pick, number 166, and a 2027 fifth-round pick from Houston in exchange for 179, 216, and a sixth-round number 255 in the seventh round of the 2025 draft. The Browns have a total of 8 picks in the 2025 draft, including the number 2 pick. They also hold picks number 33, 67, 94, 104, and 192, and 200. So the Browns are loading up to go to war and try to get someone in the draft. And the little things that keep popping up on my phone are telling me that the Browns are trying to make a push to do some trading.
Well, they need to do something. The Browns have been miserable for a long time. Let's talk about trades for a moment. So, look, this draft is going to be kind of weird. And the one thing that I don't see is I don't see a lot of teams trying to move up drastically to get players early in the draft. I mean, you might have a few. And really, it just depends on how much teams are willing to give up, because let's put it this way. You're not going to mortgage the future of your team to move up and to get a guy that, this year's draft might be the 6th or the 7th, wide receiver, right? Or this year's draft might be the 4th or the 5th defensive tackle, or, the 6th or the 8th quarterback. You're just not going to do that. I can't imagine a team is going to move all the way up to mortgage their future for a guy that, is not worth it, especially with the draft capital that you're probably going to have to give up. So it'd be interesting to see what happens tonight, but that's the one thing that I am not expecting. I am not expecting a massive trade early in this draft to move up and grab somebody that just maybe isn't the guy that, could have been last year. And they're probably going to wait until next season, next draft, to maybe make a move for a player. Here's what I do see, though. I see this draft being a draft where you're going to find a lot of good quality starters. Every year, I always throw out, where's the meat of the draft going to be? And again, this season, that draft meat is really going to be between pick 26 and pick 45. I think it's going to be real heavy with some good quality starters. Yep, they're not, first-round grades. They're not like last year's draft or even in, drafts previous, these guys aren't, big time game changers. They're not, 10 sack guys or, 1,000 yard, 100, balls a year type guys. But they are guys that can, fit on a team and start immediately and help a team win some football games. I think that that's what this draft is going to be about this year. And that's where I expect Brad to do some work. I'm expecting that Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions are going to take this opportunity in this draft to fill some holes, right? We know that Brad operates by the best player available. Now, I threw out a new rock term, right? A rockism the other day, a new one, right? Best value available. It's something that you've never heard about, really, is best value. People talk about value in the draft, but it's usually best player available, best need available. Now there's best value. This draft is all about value. I've been high on the Lions trading back from 28. I asked Daniel Jeremiah yesterday, do you see a log jam at 28 where the Lions are going to be able to find some value where they can't miss on 2 players? And he agreed that this draft is going to be a log jam at pick 28. And I don't remember if he exactly said the Lions should move back, but it was kind of the theory of the conversation yesterday was that teams want to move back. And I've been saying that for 2 months, that this is a draft you want to get the hell back.
Yeah.
If you can find a willing trade partner. But let's go back to the first thing I just said. If they're not willing to move up because this is a draft where you don't mortgage the future, then don't get upset tonight or tomorrow when, it could be the Detroit Lions are trading back and they might get a 4th round pick. Right? They might move from 28 to 33 or 34 or 35 and get a 3rd round pick, and that's it. It all depends on where that team is picking. Or they might get an early 4th round pick for moving back a couple of spots. It's not traditional value. And I think that that's what we're going to see. So that's my whole point on this draft. A lot of value available. I think it makes a lot more sense to move back. And then I, of course, see the Lions, taking that opportunity to not get 1, but let's get 2 picks, hopefully in that top 50 range. Look, the Bears, man, they're in a perfect position to strike. If they do nothing at all and they pick at 10 and 39 and 41, they're going to have a loaded draft. But if they move up and they get GNT, which has been the call, then they're still going to get 2 really good football players. So,
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Yeah, and everything I'm hearing is that the Bears are trying to move up, possibly to 4 with the Patriots, and just had something else pop up that the Browns have a possible trade down from number 2 brewing, a league source tells Cleveland.com. GM Andrew Berry is fielding calls, so there is no trade in place yet. If one comes to fruition, they'll likely be trading away from receiver cornerback Travis Hunter, whom most experts believe they would draft. Some teams looking to trade up have been the Jaguars at number 5, the Texans at 25, and the Broncos at 20. So lots of phone calls getting made this evening, that's for sure.
So there's 2 streams scheduled tonight. In case you guys don't know, there was the main stream that was the preview that was supposed to start an hour and a half ago. That was supposed to run until right now, and then we were going to switch over to the new stream. We're not going to be able to hear everything that's going on right now. We've got TVs around us to kind of see what's going on, but we're not going to be able to hear. Now, do us a favor. If we have not announced the pick yet tonight, please do not spoil it in the stream. We might be ahead of you guys. We should be ahead of you guys. That's the hope and the goal. But if we are not, please don't spoil the stream. That would help us out immensely. I got to get a new scene added here. So what I think we're going to do is we should probably switch streams, and let's just get into, I forgot I don't have a keyboard. We should probably switch streams and just get into the next one and kind of just get rolling. I mean, this has been your preview, so there should be a rollover. Like, it should just roll you right into the next stream when this stream ends. Hold on here. I mean, I could just keep the one going the whole time, but then The second one, I mean, I don't think it would hurt us. It could.
You're the expert on the YouTube stuff. I have no.
I can't kill it. I can't kill the stream. Appreciate you, J Rod. Appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate your.
Hey, right on. So J Rod, he has been a member for 7 months at level 2 of the loyalty crew. He says, "Glad you two made it safe and sound. Have fun, enjoy. For a safe travel home, the dynamic duo Will and ZZE."
Let me see if I can even get this other one up here.
All right.
Doesn't look like I can without killing this one.
Yeah. So if we disappear, just jump in on the other one.
Yep. If you guys can see the other stream, right? So it looks like it was slated to start at 7 p.m. So that's what we'll do. We'll leave here in about 10 or 15 minutes, and we'll roll over to the new one and get the new one going a little bit early. So it's called the NFL Draft Live. That way we have a little bit shorter of a preview show. Let me read you guys a few more things that I prepared. Couple movers and shakers and sleepers over the past few days. So number one, Walter Nolan. Apparently some red flags have popped up over the last couple of days. I'm not quite sure what they are. Didn't really get any other information than that, other than Walter Nolan might be slipping in this draft a little bit. So there's two questionable characters, one being Walter Nolan and one being James Pierce. Both players may slip into the second round. I think it's kind of crazy myself that probably one of the most polished defensive tackles in this draft could slip, but then again, I think that teams are really starting to value character more and more every season.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they didn't before, but I think the Lions really started with this character thing, from the outset with Brad Holmes, that he's kind of bleeding into the other general managers' plans, around the league, is let's make sure we get really good, high-quality guys, guys that are going to fit our culture, guys that can help, grow our team. Another one that's moving up, JT Tui Mo Lilau. I think I said that right. I even spelled it in the way that I could hopefully pronounce it right. So JT Tui Mo Lilau. 4-3 dog in this draft. Probably one of the best 4-3 edge dogs in this draft. Could be a first round pick by the Detroit Lions tonight. So that's a big call that I heard yesterday. Could be a first round pick by the Detroit Lions.
And JT is what position?
4-3 end.
Okay.
Kenneth Grant, so University of Michigan star, has inconsistent play speed. He's been a little bit of a mover in this draft. He's kind of slipping a little bit. Takes plays off, lacks impressive violence at times. Since there are only so many 330-pound men, though, on this planet that can, thanks Paul, that can run and move the way that he does, he might be a first-round pick tonight. And he may be the third defensive tackle off the board as early as pick 22. I wouldn't be mad if the Lions picked up somebody like Grant. I think that there's some plus upside on his pass rushing ability. As big as he is, he just moves so well.
Yeah. Now, did you notice yesterday when we were at the Play 60 field, did you see his physique yesterday?
Oh, he's massive, but he's got the slender shoulder build, though.
He looked kind of pudgy to me.
Oh, no, he is.
He looked soft.
Yeah.
He did not look chiseled at all.
He's 330. I don't know too many 330-pound men that are chiseled.
Yeah. Well, Penei Sewell, Giovanni Manu, those are the kind of chiseled big guys.
That's right. Broderick Martin too. Let's not forget about Broderick Martin.
Broderick
I'm just
too.
kidding.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
Broderick started with the
baby
Kenneth
face.
Grant. Yeah, but he started with the Kenneth Grant type of body, and now he's matured. And I'm expecting a huge morph again.
Oh yeah, definitely. Year 3.
Yeah.
This is his last shot. How about Darius Alexander? So this has been another name that has been linked to the Detroit Lions. He may come off the board a little bit earlier than expected. My guess, early second round. I think that he'll be inside the top 36. He could beat out Tyleik Williams. Oh. Now, I know that Tyleik Williams has been down on some people's boards. He's still high on my board for the Detroit Lions. I think that he's a perfect fit in Detroit. I think that Detroit likes him a lot. I haven't had any conversations with Brad Holmes, but I honestly feel like there's some love here in the air for
Tyleek.
Yeah, for Tyleek Williams.
Now,
Excuse me.
He's from Ohio State, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So what I've seen so far in most of the mock drafts is Tyleek is gone before the Lions even have a shot at him. So
We'll see.
Maybe he's one of the players that Brad's willing to move up a few spots if he's still sticking around at 21, 22, 23.
Hey, appreciate you, Michael Garrett. He says, congratulations on being there tonight, guys. You know, this is just to say it again, man. I know there's a lot of crap talkers out there, but I just got to say, like, I work hard, you know, at doing this. I have been working hard for a long time, trying to make something come alive. And, you know, like yesterday, man, had to thank Eric to... We did a feed yesterday. We didn't even post it. We were so dead yesterday when we got back. Like, it was so tired.
Yesterday was like, what time did we come down here? 8:30 in the morning or something? And we were here until 3 or 4 in the afternoon. We went back. We got something to eat. I got something to eat. He started working on the show for today, and I was out. I just went right to sleep.
So I had to thank Eric, you know, again yesterday too, because he's been really consistent on showing up and really put a lot of hard work into this too. And you know, hard work pays off, man. Hot air doesn't. So if you're gonna talk it, be about it. If you're gonna be about it, do it. And we're trying to do it. So that's our mindset. Let's just do it. Tyler Booker, he's another one. Great interviews. A man gap scheme blocker. So he's somebody that has been gaining a little bit of ground over the past couple of weeks. He did have just a worth athletic showing, though, of all the other participants, and he may be a great leader, good in the locker room, but you also need guys that can play. So this one, I'm on the fence. He's been dropping, but at the same time, who is he? Like, who is Tyler? That's the biggest question that we're trying to get answered. And then the biggest name I think that has been flying around the Detroit Lions. Fan base has been Gray Zabel. Matter of fact, it was just mentioned a little bit ago in the chat. Highest value for him that I noticed early was at center. I think that he's going to come in and be a guard center on whatever team that he goes to. He can play tackle, but I think that he's a tackle in a pinch, if you get what I'm saying. I think that right tackle is okay for him, but I think that he's better suited as a center. I said that about a week or two ago in one of our shows, and then yesterday I heard Daniel Jeremiah double down on that and also said that Gray Zabel looks to be a better center at the next level. So Gray Zabel makes sense. Frank Ragnow. Now, I know that Frank says that he's not retiring. I know that he says that he still has some mileage left. And there's Pac-Man, by the way. Pac-Man's in the house.
Oh, yeah. I got to do a little interview with Pac-Man Jones yesterday. That was quite cool. Got to post that up on the social media.
So I think it's one of those things where Brad Holmes, even at the league meetings in Florida, he said that, we're not a team that's going to grab somebody to park them, to wait for Brad Holmes or wait for Frank Ragnow.
Yeah.
Something tells me that Brad's full of it because you have to do that, right? You got to have somebody ready to go.
Yeah.
Especially in a unique offense like this where your center is so important, and they're making all the calls.
Yes. Now, my thing with Gray Zabel, I would just be disappointed as a fan because it's not a sexy pick. It really isn't. That is something that you need. It's offensive or defensive line. Those aren't the sexy picks. The sexy picks are edge rusher, wide receiver, quarterback, that kind of stuff. So for me as a fan, a lineman, it just doesn't do much for the wow factor.
It's not a needle mover.
No, it's not, but it's something we have to have. And in my mock draft, I took a guard in the 3rd or the 4th round, and I wasn't really thinking about center when I did it. I was thinking more of guard or somebody that could play multitude of spots, guard and center.
So here's the thing about offensive linemen, and just to your point, it's not the sexy pick, right? It's the necessary pick. So what does our offense need, right? What is it designed around? It's designed around offensive linemen that are athletic, offensive linemen that are good in the gap scheme. So, when you're trying to play, a gap scheme, style of an offense where you're running the ball outside zone, inside zone, zone blocking scheme, you need good athletic linemen that can get up into the second and third levels. So it's imperative that we have good offensive linemen that are not only, playing this year, ready to go day one, but you have to have good, solid backups. So there's only so many of them that exist. And in a draft like tonight, where you're going to have very few tackles available, when they go, they're gone. When they're gone, it's over. You have some tackles that are going to convert to guard. There's a lot more guards in this draft than there are tackles. So if you can find anyone that you desperately need, but yet it's best player available at that position, you have to take them. So I could see where, the Lions may take a guard. I don't see them taking a tackle in this draft because that would be a very early pick. I think that all the tackles are going to be gone in the first round. The true tackles. But after that, I think that you're looking at guards.
That's where I think Brad Holmes was getting ahead of the curve last year by taking Giovanni Manu in the third round. And that's why he moved up to get him, because he knew in 1, possibly 2 years, now Manu might take another year. He may sit the whole year again, but eventually he is going to be our starting left or right tackle.
Absolutely. I think so. And, they've even talked about putting him at guard, a couple months ago.
Yep.
When I was doing mock drafts. I said, Manu looks like he could move to guard for us. And then it wasn't even a month later or so that Brad said the same thing at the league meetings, that they might give him an option at guard this year to see what he can do.
Yeah.
You got to give him time. How about round 2 movers? So I think the receivers are going to be plenty in the second round. I think that Jalen Knoll, small, but he's explosive. He may be the crispiest route runner out there in this draft. And then there's Trey Harris and Jaden Higgins. They will also be snagged early into the mid-second round.
So you're talking about Jaden Higgins, right? Mm-hmm. I forgot to tell you this story. So I went down this morning to get some breakfast, and who happens to be there but a gentleman in an Iowa State University, head to toe. And I got to talking to him about him because my son goes to the university, Iowa State University. And I go to games pretty much every year. So I was at Breece Hall's last game. I was at Brock Purdy's last game, those two together. And we started talking about Jaden Higgins. And he was telling me, man, if the Lions can draft Jaden Higgins in the second round, it's going to be like drafting another first rounder. And he's big. He's 6'4", almost 6'5", ran a really good 40. This kid's going to be special. And that's what he was telling me. I forgot to tell you that story.
I like Jaden Higgins. If you remember a while back, I said that, once we brought in Roll, I thought that the Lions were going to get a crack at, some of these Iowa State guys. And they've brought in a few of them. I think that he makes sense. I think that Jaden Higgins will give us an opportunity, later in the draft, probably end of round 2, maybe early round 3. You might be able to find him. But again, according to my notes and what's been going on over the last 24 hours, he might be moving up. But we'll see. We'll see. He's right now he's moving up. He's not moving down. Before, he might have been available, like I just said, end of round 2, early round 3. There's still a possibility, but there's talk that he's moving up. Just depends on what happens in the draft.
So breaking news right now, Jaden Higgins likes to kick puppies, and
yeah, right.
We got to start some false news so the Lions can draft him at number 60.
Yeah, we'll leave that up to the other channels, right? So then we've got Malachi Starks. So Malachi Starks had a bad workout. Great player, great person, just not wasting a first-round pick on a safety that doesn't test well is the rumor right now. So you might see Malachi Starks available in the second round. And for the Lions, I don't think it's much of a concern for us right now. Let me give a big shout out to the $20 super chat that just came in, and that was
J-Rod.
J-Rod, man, appreciate you. Says, can you smell what Brad Holmes is cooking? Enjoy, fellas. Proud to be part of the Rockhound family. Appreciate you, buddy, and I appreciate you being part of us and with us tonight. Let's just hope that we're going to love the rest of this draft, and Brad Holmes gives us something to cheer about Look, I want Brad Holmes to do something in Green Bay just to spurn these Packers.
I just saw that in the chat.
Yo,
Poach
you
the
saw it
pack.
too?
Poach the pack. Wouldn't that
Yeah.
be cool? So do it 3 years in a row. You know, 2 years ago, we took Brian Branch. We traded with him, and then we took Branch ahead of him,
Right?
which was absolutely spectacular. And who did we take last year that they wanted? There was a
Terry
player
and Arnold.
last year.
Terry
Yeah,
and
Terry and
Arnold.
Arnold. We took him right in front of him.
All right, a couple more movers and shakers. These guys are moving up and could be getting a mid-round steal. So Pat Bryant, 3 game-winning TDs last season. In the last 2 minutes of a game, he averaged 18 yards a catch. He's not a burner, but technically sound. And Bryant is a guy that knows what to do after the catch and anticipates before the catch. So the one knock on Bryant here is, man, if you could just get him to do the things that he does with the ball before the ball gets there, he's a much better football player. So I think that it's the right coach that's going to be able to pull some of these things out of Bryant. I think he's going to be special at the next level. There's been some really good Fighting Illini coming out of the college ranks over the last few seasons. Kirby Joseph was one of them, wasn't he? Wasn't he from Illinois? I think he was.
I don't remember.
There's been a few really
Oh,
good.
yeah, Kirby, yes,
There's
yes,
been
yes.
a few really good corners and DBs coming out of that school. Shamar Turner, so played on a stress fracture all last season, and I think that he was undervalued because of maybe some of his play. But man, playing on a stress fracture is tough. 10 TFLs, 6 sacks. Probably going to go day 2, possibly as late as round 3. But he's an incredible high-value upside pick for me in this draft. And then C.J. Dupree. Now, look, he ran really good at the combine. I thought that he was great at the combine. Great after the catch, knifing and fighting his way through. I see, why he is so devalued just based on his numbers. But man, can this guy knife through a defense. He anticipates the play. He finds the path forward with explosive short area quickness and a lot of twitch. And he's very super strong. I expect him. I think he killed everybody on the bench press. At the combine or his pro day. I think he put it up over 26 times. I expect him to be a big-time blocking machine at the next level, and the Lions are definitely looking for a blocking machine. Matter of fact, I think the C.J. Dupree is one of our visits. I think that he came in on one of our visits. So, was this the national anthem?
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to pause for just a few moments here. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. It's planes fly over. We'll be right back, guys.
Helicopter or something.
Guys, we're going to switch streams if you can still hear me.